Pentagon officials are affirming now that the U.S. pilots will not hesitate to defend themselves against any Russian attacks or threats. This after Russian officials warned the United States that any U.S.-led coalition plane or drone flying west of the Euphrates River will be considered a, quote, military target. This threat being in response to a U.S. jet shooting down a Syrian warplane over the weekend. Joining me now to discuss, Michael Pregent and Rick Grenell. Michael, let me start with you here. First time we've shot down a Syrian plane since we've entered that conflict going after ISIS in 2014. Is it your opinion that they just weren't taking us seriously after 8 years of, let's face it, feckless, reckless leadership from President Obama, or was this some sort of individual test against the Trump administration?
Well, thanks for having me on, Charles. Well, what's interesting here is the Russians and the Turkish Air Force have bombed U.S.-backed rebels in the past, and the Obama administration did nothing. And this was an actual reaction by the Trump administration. Only after calling the Russians to say, hey, can you put pressure on Assad's forces not to bomb our guys, was this aircraft shot down. I think Iran and Assad are asking Putin, what are you doing in Syria? You haven't stopped the Trump administration from bombing our bases. You haven't stopped the Trump administration from hitting Iranian proxies near Al-Tanf in southern Syria, and now they're shooting down our aircraft. So I think a lot of this is rhetoric from Putin about what they'll do with U.S. aircraft, and I don't think they'll do a thing, to be honest with you.
You know, Rick, here at home, there was some confusion, of course, because during the campaign, President Trump wondered about some of our rebel forces, but to me, I think, well, at least it's been clear to me that these were, to Michael's point, these were the Kurds who we know have been honorable fighters, and perhaps there's an argument we should be helping them a lot more.
Well, look, the U.S. national security threat inside Syria is ISIS, and so Donald Trump made it perfectly clear during the campaign that if he were president, he would defeat ISIS. So I think that is the goal. What we also have to remember is that the American appetite, which also, I think, propelled Donald Trump to the White House, is that the view that Syria is a mess and that there's a proxy war going on right now. So taking all that, it would make sense that the United States would need to support the Kurds. The Kurds, after all, are the ones who are on the ground. If we want to make sure that we're doing everything possible inside Syria without U.S. military personnel on the ground in great numbers, then we have to support the Kurds, because the Kurds are there doing what we want them to do, and it means that the U.S. forces are not in large numbers on the ground. But we do have a problem in that our NATO ally Turkey, they're not happy with the Kurds. They want to somehow defeat the Kurds here, and so we need diplomacy to kind of work with the Turks and be able to support the Kurds in better ways that we have been.
Guys, I want to read a statement coming in just now from Senator John McCain reacting to the death of Otto Warmbier. Quote, let us state the facts plainly. Otto Warmbier is an American citizen, was murdered by Kim Jong-un's regime in the final years of his life. He lived a nightmare in which the North Korean people have been trapped in for 70 years. Forced labor, mass starvation, systematic cruelty, torture, and murder. Pregent, can you give me a 5-second idea what we should be doing here next?
I agree with Senator McCain, and we need to look hard at North Korea, and we need to talk to China about what North Korea did to this young American.